Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of Grey's Anatomy Season 17, Episode 6, the winter finale.
Yep, it's here already, guys.
Why are you doing that with that cliffhanger? Like, we know Ellen Pompeo is not going to leave Grey's Anatomy. Her name is in the title. Why? And then making us wait until March for what's next?
It is a long wait, guys. I mean, maybe they want to get a couple episodes in the can, so make sure that they're ahead of schedule a little bit. It'll come, but we're all gonna be waiting a while.
Well, we've got a number of things to talk about. I think there's some storytelling questions I think we also have to just sort of ponder over. But, before we get into anything here, if you guys do enjoy this discussion, subscribe to the channel. We've got all of our other Grey's Anatomy videos from so far this season that are worth checking out. And we've got a lot of coverage coming over the next several weeks as well.
Yeah, there's lots more Grey's Anatomy coming, so definitely hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of it.
Okay, should we just dive right into the thing that I am the most sort of just questioning over and over in my head?
Yep.
Okay, we are a good chunk into this season now, and it has all been very dark. It has all been very, very difficult in a lot of ways.
Yeah, every single episode this season, at the end of it, I feel like someone has knocked the wind out of me. This is a show that I've long enjoyed coming in for, some really good stories, some kind of cool surgery, some romance, some laughs. It is very different this season.
Yeah, and it's mostly, there's usually at least more of a balance. And even though we may get a tough episode, it's followed by a funnier episode or something like that. But this is 6 episodes of a lot of really, really heavy stuff. And I had sort of convinced myself mentally entering this because of the promos and everything else. This is what I get for believing the promos. That, okay, Meredith is going to wake up. She's going to get better. They're going to sort of tie together all the pandemic stuff. And then in the second part of the season, we're going to start to move on to other things.
Yeah, you've been really hoping, and me too, that this is going to be tied up. We're done. We're moving into sort of a post-pandemic world. I mean, there is a huge long break. Who knows what's going to happen in the real world at that point? We are all moving towards a different future where this won't be happening anymore. So I get that the show really wanted to dive in to this very bleak thing that is happening all over the world to so many people. And they did a really good, powerful job with it. But for me, I would like to start moving into something a bit different. What does it look like at this hospital with all of our doctors and nurses? What does it look like after?
And I think the question I'm sort of left on now is that, you are showing more the seriousness of the virus, putting Meredith on a ventilator, like all of that, things that are happening in the real world, you're showing that. But it's also, at the same time, could there have been a way to sort of fit that into this story a little bit earlier and not, give us that tiny glimmer of hope, only to then sort of just, bring us right back into, the cellar where it feels like we all kind of are now.
Thumbs up or thumbs down on Meredith getting out of bed to go and try to save somebody when she knows that she has this?
Okay, this was really tough because I think obviously Meredith makes a mistake here on multiple different levels. She should not have done this. I understand the impulse that she has to do it because she's a doctor. I think that conversation with Karasik was really illuminating. It's like they're so used to saving lives. You take away the one thing that defines them, maybe you don't think clearly. It's like, I understand why she did it. I wish she hadn't have done it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that she did it, even if she didn't have that conversation with Tom, which was a really good couple of moments. I really enjoyed that part of the episode. Even if she didn't have that conversation, it is in her soul and in her nature and a part of her being to do something like that and to sort of put herself aside for other people, and her going in and doing that, whether it could kill her or not. I mean, it was completely in her character. Does it make me any less frustrated, though. No, I'm frustrated with you. You need to just stay in bed.
Yeah, this is, like, there's a part of me that's like, oh, this is like the, the pro athlete who, like, breaks a bone in their leg and is, like, coming, like, waddling out of the locker room to try to keep playing. But the difference there is the athlete does not have a highly infectious, deadly disease, and this is such a higher stakes situation. And yeah, I do get it, Meredith. I understand it. Probably should have just stayed in bed, but, like you said, not much of a surprise.
No, it is part of her makeup. I would have been more surprised if she had actually just stayed in bed and let that person die. That would have been shocking. That would have been a completely different video if she had not gone over there.
I want to go back to the conversation with Karasik because you praised it. I gotta praise it too. I gotta put like a cherry on top of that just great pile of praise because this was my favorite part of the episode. It was, it was still dark in a lot of ways, but it was like, here's these two people who have both gone through these unspeakably just awful things, but they're having this conversation about what part of the hospital staff are the best lovers, and it's so ridiculous and just weird.
It was weird. It was ridiculous. I really like that they included a bit of that because that is the humor of Grey's Anatomy that I really like, and that has been very minimal this season for obvious reasons, but I am missing it a lot, especially that conversation where we're like, oh, you're one of the two greatest doctors here. What makes you think I'm number two?
I think Karasik said, who said I even had you in the top two? Like, just the amount of smack talk between it's like so... I love the relationship with Karasik and Meredith. It's just like... It's so good, and I think some of it is because Karasik is jealous that Meredith has all these awards, and
I also just really like that that's who he wanted to go and see. That he knew that if she can get through it, that he's got a chance to, kind of thing, because he looks up to her. Whether he's gonna say it or not say it, he does.
You know what else made me mad about this episode, though? They released like 4 photos in advance, and one of them was Meredith standing on the beach. And that really put me in a place where I was like, all right, Lex is coming. I'm waiting for it. It's like, why did you put that one photo in? It's like, did they have more than like 5 continuous seconds of Meredith in the beach this whole episode?
The thing that worried me about seeing that photo was that she was going to be back under again. She's going to be critical again, because if she's back at that beach, nothing good is happening.
Me and my delusional mind, I thought, oh, this is where they're starting the episode. The photo's out there. They're going to see her at the beach. Derek's going to be there. He's going to wave farewell. And then she's going to be back. Everyone's going to be okay. No, that did not happen. Not even close.
No.
But there's a lot of things that they did sort of find a way to weave into this, and some of them, I don't know if they were as successful as they could be because there was so much other stuff going on.
Yeah, there was a lot going on.
Like, I am grateful that they did bring back Deluca and everything that happened with him last season.
Yeah, and I was glad that they did take that moment with Bailey where he was like, oh, it's time to take my medication. I gotta go home. I gotta go to sleep. See you later. There was like no hesitation. He's on the path. He's doing really good, and that's where he is. And that's why when we saw at the end and he saw that woman in the parking lot and he was like, nope, this is it. This is the woman. Get in the car. We're going. I was like, okay, this is great, and it's good that people are believing him now.
Finally, like it's nice to have at least somebody who is on the up and up a little bit. And Deluca was the man in this episode. He's like taking care of Bailey, who is a very difficult person to give advice to, I would imagine.
Absolutely. But I mean, Bailey was in a position where she was really unable to think for herself in that moment. That is when you need a friend, a colleague, someone who cares about you to step in. Because when you're inside your own mind like that, after everything that happened to her and she thinks she just needs to keep pushing forward because she's really strong, you do need that other person to come in and be like, nope, stop, done, just cut it out.
Okay, so the part of this episode that I wish was saved for a little bit later on down the road is the story with the girls that was set up over on Station 19 and moved over here. I know they want to have the crossover. I get that from the promos. I just worry that it's going to get lost. Like, because you're ending this episode with Meredith on a ventilator.
Yep.
I think that's going to be the thing that people are talking about. All of the information that Maggie handed down, everything that started on it. Like, these are serious, important discussions that need to be had. And
yes, they are.
I don't know if it's going to resonate as much as it should, just because it needed more time, and there wasn't a lot of time in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what Maggie was talking about is really important. And when you do have Meredith on a ventilator at the end, that is the only thing that people are really going to be focused on, because she is such an important character of the show. She is the main character of the show. She has been here since the beginning. Now she's at the point that she's on a ventilator. Everyone is going to be worried about this for the next few months, waiting for it to come back.
Yeah, and I get it. It's Grey's Anatomy. This is Meredith Grey, and that's why, it's like Kelly was doing an excellent job with the material. I wanted her to have more opportunities to shine with this. I mean, clearly there are parts of, Deluca and his role in a lot of things now. Like, it's coming back.
Maggie has been getting some really good material. This episode, last episode as well. The writing for her has been really, really good, and she's been having a lot of moments to shine.
I'm so happy that she got just a tiny victory at the end of it. It was like, Winston's here. It's going to be better now.
Yeah, she's been dealing with a lot, and she's been putting herself out a lot to help other people, like that whole scene with her and Bailey on the bench.
I feel like they're trying to subtly balance out how just depressing certain storylines are, where they're sort of okay, here is Meredith and what she's going through. Here are these terrible, unspeakable things happening to these young kids, and then it's okay, well, here we have Maggie's love interest showing up. Here's, a funny conversation. I don't think there is a way to balance it out. I get that they're trying.
There is no way to balance this out. These are some really dark stories, and just with what's going on with the health crisis, I mean, we are all still living through it, and that's what makes these episodes as difficult as they are, where, like I said, every week I'm watching this and I feel like I'm just getting the wind kicked out of me every single week, which is, I love this show, but this has not been as enjoyable as it has been watching this show in the past, because I know that that's what I'm signing up for, and that's what's going to happen to me watching these episodes right now. And it's difficult to really prepare myself to go and watch an episode that I know is going to hurt me.
And it's hard, and I'm sure they know that it's going to hurt a lot of people, and I know that they probably have some sort of finish line at some point with it.
Yep.
We just don't know when it is, and I think that's what makes it really difficult, because it's sort of there's this big conversation that Owen and Teddy have in this episode.
Oh my goodness.
And talk about, I think Owen's going to be feeling that for a while.
That was brutal. I mean, when we found out before that her kid's name is Allison after a past lover, I was just like, oh, that is really difficult. I could not imagine if I had a kid and the father of my kid is like, by the way, our daughter named after a past lover. I would lose my mind. I can't even imagine what Owen feels about that.
99% of the time, this would be the conversation that we're leading off this video with, because it is just so, just shocking and just, emotional devastation for this guy who's clearly been put through a lot.
But good for Teddy for actually just starting to get those conversations going. That is a difficult conversation to have, because there's no rolling that back. You can't go and change their name or do something else. That is a forever decision, guys. Yeah. So her actually admitting that to start to want to make those changes is good. I mean, maybe we are going to see her on a different path of, okay, you know what? Maybe I have lost Owen. Maybe there is no repairing this, but to repair me, to go forward, she needs to start unburdening herself and forgiving herself and moving forward.
The longer that she had held this in, I think we can agree, the worse it would have inevitably been, because can you imagine this you know, this kid is old enough that's like graduating someday, and like Owen finds out at that point.
It's already long enough. She should have never
Well,
done
no, yes,
that.
that
Oh
is clear.
Goodness.
Don't do this. Don't do this, Teddy. Seems like just something we could say for like most of the past year. But you know, it's
not a 10 out of 10 decision.
No. I think this is the most 1 out of 10 decision that we can possibly encounter. But it is something where it's good that she's having the conversation. She can't walk it back. No. But who knows if they're ever going to be together again? I don't know. Owen would have to really muster up the forgiveness of like thousands of people here.
There would really have to be a lot of conversations to happen to repair that relationship. Right now, if they can just get to a point where they're able to co-parent well together, then that is at least something that, you know, will be helpful to their family. They don't have to be together to be able to do that and do a good job.
Well, this sort of brings us to the end of most of the major storylines. Like, there's clearly characters at this point on Grey's that are sort of getting kind of a little bit left out, like Cormac. Like, where has he been?
Yeah, and I mean, Joe had a little bit of, like, still talking about maybe wanting to change careers, but, you know, it was so small this episode. But there were so many big things going on that it felt like it really all needed to be concentrated in one area.
Yeah, and it's even like we said, even with that, there were still storylines like, you know, what Maggie was talking about, what started at Station 19 that didn't feel like they got their proper due. So I don't know where the show goes from here. I think we need your feedback on it. How much longer do you think that we can really take on the pandemic as a subject matter? Where do you think Meredith's going to end up at the result of all of this? Like, I think she's obviously going to get better.
Yeah, I think she's going to get better. And I mean, Tom is still not 100% out of the woods. I think he's going to be okay. I was worried a little while ago, but I feel a little bit better about it. But I mean, we've seen people start to get better and then they die. So I don't know.
Grace.
Yes.
Don't do this.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't know. For me, I would really like it if in March they start to move into a like, okay, the vaccine's out and now we're starting to move along with that and things are starting to change and get a little more, you know, positive.
Let's cross our fingers. Let's hope for the best. But if you guys did enjoy this discussion, hit that like button, subscribe, support us further by checking the links to the store, our Patreon, and we will see you here next time.